Okay, that's weird. Something ain't right on my YouTube. Couldn't couldn't stream on YouTube. Why does it say? I need to fix that. Ugh. All these videos are popping up so scary. What are we watching? What should we watch? That's not. Ugh. Yeah, I don't like the thumbnails.
Bear, the creator behind Exploring with Bear, decides to step into a massive... It's a quiet afternoon when Bear, the creator behind Exploring with Bear, decides to step into a massive abandoned complex. At first glance, it looks like any forgotten structure, but something immediately feels wrong. Little did he know what he would encounter in...
Standing here for 50 years. And you know something? Well, I'm hot. Get out of here. I'm not talking about being, a little uncomfortable or a tad warm or anything like that. I'm saying H-O-T hot. Go on, bird, shoot. What I wouldn't give for a nice, cool rainstorm. But this is the desert. It hardly ever rains here. So, I'm hot. Huh?
What are we watching? Should we do American Darkness Life TV moment?
Part of a long-running series of smaller but highly competitive events organized...
Caught my eye. Alright, today we're gonna do Americans Darkness Live
part of a long
TV moments.
series of smaller but highly competitive events organized by the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Unlike the massive pay-per-view cards that feature the sport's biggest names and title fights, these fight nights are broadcast regularly and held in various cities around the world. On October 18, 2025, one of these events took place in Vancouver, Canada, and was broadcast live to millions of viewers around the world. The night had been running smoothly, filled with intense matchups, passionate crowds, and the familiar energy. That was until the main event, a middleweight clash between Brendan Allen of South Carolina and Dutch fighter Renier de Ridder, when something deeply unsettling occurred. As Brendan Allen began his walkout toward the octagon, cameras followed him down the arena tunnel, capturing every moment of the buildup. Suddenly, a fan wearing a distinctive red and black luchador mask leaned over the barricade and briefly held his phone directly into the camera's view. At first, this seemed like typical fan behavior, until viewers noticed what was on the phone screen. Displayed on the device was a chilling image, a photograph of what appeared to be an unconscious person, lying motionless with their face partially obscured. The image flashed for only a second.
I saw that. I saw this. I thought it was FaceTime. What the heck?
But it was clear enough to send shockwaves through those watching the broadcast. Within hours, clips of the moment began circulating online, quickly going viral across social media platforms. The UFC community was left stunned and confused. Speculation spread rapidly, with some claiming the photo depicted a missing woman or a hostage being held by the masked fan. The rumor grew even further, with some claiming that the FBI had gotten involved and was now investigating the man in the video, but there's been no official confirmation to support that. On September 28, 2012, Fox News was covering a live police pursuit in Arizona that would become one of the most shocking moments in modern broadcast history. The chase began after authorities attempted to stop a suspected carjacker who had stolen a red vehicle and fled at high speed across desert roads. A news helicopter from a local Fox affiliate provided continuous aerial footage, which was broadcast to Fox News' national feed. For nearly an hour, viewers watched the suspect drive erratically, weaving through traffic, narrowly avoiding collisions, and at one point veering off-road into open terrain. The tension escalated when the man eventually abandoned the car, stumbling across an open field while still being pursued by officers.
GG's,
As
buddy.
he ran, a gun was visible in his hand, and in a sudden, horrifying moment, he stopped,
No.
all while the live broadcast continued. Fox News had a 5-second delay in place to prevent graphic content from airing, but due to a technical error, this was briefly shown on national television before the feed was cut. Anchor Shepard Smith, visibly shaken, quickly returned to the camera and addressed viewers directly. "We really messed up, and we're all very sorry. That didn't belong on television. I personally apologize to you that that happened." The incident instantly became one of the most infamous live TV moments in recent history, prompting Fox News to review and overhaul its live broadcast protocols to prevent similar tragedies from being aired. Authorities later identified the man as 26-year-old Joseph James Hudson, a resident of the Phoenix area. Police confirmed he had a prior criminal history, though details about his past offenses were not publicly disclosed.
Why is this on the fucking TV? Keep watching. Pay attention. What the fuck was that?
Pause it. 3, 2, 1, go. No.
What the fuck is that?
This next live TV moment is hard to verify since only one clip of it seems to exist, which makes its authenticity questionable. In the TikTok, a man records his TV while watching Impractical Jokers on True TV. During a commercial break, a Lowe's ad begins playing until suddenly a creepy image of a girl flashes on the screen for a few seconds, before the commercial continues as normal. After coming across this video, I tried searching for discussions or forum posts about a possible broadcast hijacking at the time of the recording, which could explain the creepy image popping up. But I couldn't find anything to support or confirm this possibility.
That comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
On July 13th, 2024, during a campaign rally held by Donald Trump at the Butler Farm Show grounds near Butler, Pennsylvania, what began as a routine political event for an estimated 15,000 attendees suddenly turned into an assassination attempt. Trump was in the middle of his speech about border security when 8 shots were fired from a nearby rooftop, sending the crowd into panic. One bullet grazed Trump's right ear, while another fatally struck Corey Comparatore, a 50-year-old former fire chief attending the rally. 2 other people in the audience were seriously wounded, and several rounds hit the metal framework and teleprompters near the stage. Secret Service agents immediately rushed to protect Trump, tackling him to the ground. Moments later, as they helped him to his feet, he was seen with blood on his ear and face. In a now viral moment, Trump raised his fist to the crowd before being escorted away. The entire scene was broadcast live across major news networks and social media, quickly becoming one of the most replayed moments of the year. That night, over 19 million people were watching live coverage of the rally and its aftermath on television. a number that grew even higher as footage of the incident spread online within minutes. The shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 20-year-old from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, was swiftly located by Secret Service counter-snipers and shot dead before he could fire again. Law enforcement units secured the area, searching for accomplices or explosives. The FBI soon took control of the investigation, confirming that Crooks had acted alone and used a semi-automatic rifle in what was officially classified as an attempted assassination of a former...
The reason why I'm gonna pause this, to let you know, before the stream, I took these sleep caps. You see that? And I want to experiment. Like, oh, usually when I buy these, they like, it works, but doesn't really work. But I don't know how to explain it, but it's just kind of doesn't work where it kind of like it's really effective. However, I was reading the instructions and it says take one 45 minutes before sleep. I was gonna go to sleep before. Ugh. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take these because I'm gonna go to sleep pretty soon. But I was like, wait. I want to stream. What's up? I was talking about these pills. And I was going to sleep, but I was like, you know what? Change of thought. I'm gonna go stream. Haven't really been streaming constantly because of things. But they're actually working though. I got this today. Just want to try it out. But yeah, whatever.
President.
Choose to reveal your secret crush on someone. A, would you write that person a letter? B, would you tell the person in private in case he rejects you? Or C, would you tell that person that you're gay and you hope he is on national television?
The Jenny Jones Show was a daytime talk show that aired from 1991 to 2003, hosted by comedian and television personality Jenny Jones. It featured a mix of celebrity interviews, human interest stories, and sensationalized topics, often focusing on shocking or controversial personal issues. The show became infamous for a 1995 episode that continues to be discussed in media and true crime circles. On March 6, 1995, the show aired an episode titled Revealing Same-Sex Secret Crushes, in which guests were surprised on stage by people claiming to have romantic feelings for them. One segment featured 32-year-old Scott Amadeur from Michigan revealing his attraction to 27-year-old Jonathan Schmitz, a carpenter who had no idea about Scott's feelings.
Did you think Donna had the crush on you?
Did I? No, we're good friends.
Well, guess what? It's Scott that has the crush on you.
You lied to me.
Before we talk, take a look at, we'll show a little playback of what Scott said about you, John. Take a look at that monitor
right
down
here?
there.
Well, it entails like whipped cream and champagne, stuff like that.
Scott was pretty open about he's been fantasizing about you since he saw you under that car for the first time. He had an under the car fantasy and he had a hammock fantasy he's been telling us about. Did you have any idea that he liked you this much?
No, I did not.
Can you tell us what your status is? I mean, you involved with anybody or?
No, but I am definitely heterosexual, I guess you could say.
The revelation left Jonathan visibly upset and humiliated, reportedly feeling embarrassed in front of millions of viewers. While the confession was intended to be lighthearted and entertaining, it had tragic consequences. Just 3 days later, on March 9th, 1995, Jonathan went to Scott's home and fatally shot him. The murder shocked the nation and sparked intense debate over whether shows like Jenny Jones should take any responsibility for the tragedy. Reports indicated that Jonathan had a history of violent behavior, and some suggested producers were aware he might react unpredictably. Yet the show did not take extra precautions beyond standard security. Jonathan was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, but ultimately pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, receiving a sentence of 25 to 50 years in prison. Scott's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the show, which was later dismissed. The incident led to broader discussions about the ethics of ambushing guests, and remains a cautionary example of the dangers of exploiting personal secrets for entertainment. In 1983, 11-year-old Jody Plauché began taking karate lessons from Jeff Doucet, an instructor who quickly became close to the Plauché family. Over time, Jeff earned the trust of Jody's father, Gary, often spending time with the family outside of class. However, Jeff eventually began abusing Jody, manipulating him into keeping silent. The following year, in February 1984, Jeff kidnapped Jody, taking him from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to a motel in Anaheim, California. Jody remained missing for several days, prompting the FBI to launch a nationwide search. On March 1st, 1984, Jeff was arrested in California, and Jody was safely returned home. Though Jody was back with his family, Gary remained deeply upset. 2 weeks later, on March 16th, Gary waited near the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport's baggage claim, pretending to be on the phone. As Jeff was escorted past by police, Gary turned, drew a revolver, and shot him once in the head at point-blank range. The shooting was captured live on television, with one man famously shouting, "Why Gary?" Gary Plauché was charged with second-degree murder, but the case drew national attention and widespread sympathy. Prosecutors ultimately reduced the charge to manslaughter. He received a 7-year suspended sentence, 5 years of probation, and 300 hours of community service, meaning he served no jail time. Today, Jody Plauché is an advocate for child safety and sexual abuse prevention, sharing his story through public speaking and writing. In June 2014, 12-year-old Charles Bothwell V went missing in Detroit, Michigan, sparking a frantic search by local authorities. His father, Charles Bothwell IV, along with police, reported the boy as missing, and the story quickly gained media attention. For several days, there was widespread concern about the boy's safety, as authorities and the public feared that he might have been abducted or harmed. The disappearance prompted news outlets to cover the story extensively, and interviews with the family, especially the father, became a focal point of the media coverage. During one live interview on the Nancy Grace Show, Charles Bothwell IV was discussing his son's disappearance when a shocking revelation occurred on air.
Reports that your son has been found in your basement.
Wait. I remember this.
Sir? Mr. Bothell, are you...
What?
Yeah, we are getting reports that your son has been found alive in your basement.
What?
Yes, that's what... If you could hand me that wire very quickly. Yeah, we're getting that
Nah, he's
right
playing.
now. From
He's playing the
yeah,
act.
how could your son be alive in your basement?
Screwed up.
I have
GG's.
I have no idea.
Liar.
Now, this is just a report that we are hearing out of Detroit that we're trying to confirm. The boy has been found alive in Daddy's basement.
That's crazy.
As the interview was unfolding, news producers informed him that Charles had been found alive, not in a stranger's home or kidnapped elsewhere, but hiding in the family's own basement. The father's reaction was one of utter shock and disbelief, as he had previously stated that he had searched the basement and was unaware of his son's presence. This moment, broadcast live to viewers across the nation, captured a rare instance of a breaking story intersecting with a live emotional reaction. Authorities later revealed that Charles had been hiding behind a barricade of boxes and a 55-gallon drum in the basement. Investigators determined that the boy was fearful of his father and stepmother due to their strict and abusive disciplinary methods, including excessive exercise regimens and other forms of physical punishment. The case quickly transitioned from a missing child investigation to a child abuse investigation, drawing intense scrutiny to both parents and raising questions about the household environment in which Charles was living. Ultimately, Charles Bothwell IV and his wife, Monique Dillard Bothwell, faced legal consequences. Charles IV pleaded guilty to fourth-degree child abuse and received probation and anger management classes, while Monique also faced charges as part of a plea deal. The exact details of her sentence were not publicly disclosed.
What I don't get, how could you do that to your own kid? That's the thing I don't get. How can you do that to your own kid? Pretty good video. Next, let's do. Oh, let me tell you something. When it gets night, this is my For You page on YouTube. Like, look at this. What the heck is that? What the heck is this? This one I can handle that. But what the heck? What the heck is this? And what the heck is that? Like, what the heck? What the heck is this? We're not watching that. Bro, because I took this. That's why I'm tired. Accidentally. So that. The challenge is to not fall asleep. I don't even know. Someone go wake him up. Someone find OMAG. That's one word.
Bring back 2012. Hashtag bring back 20.
Today's dog is an intelligent.
So I got something pretty creepy.
Larry Hartman, tonight at 11. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where you're...
It's 10 p.m. Do you know...
It's 10 p.m.
It's 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
10 p.m.
10 p.m.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where you're...
I know why they do that. Because the kids are missing.
Where...
Imagine accidentally falling out of reality. In 2014, an abandoned cell phone was found in the back seat of a taxi in Fiji. When a passenger found it, they started looking through its contents to figure out who it belonged to.
I don't like the look of that.
Does some...
Oh!
On April 12th, 2015, 20-year-old Kyle Care...
I don't want to do this anymore. Let's do something... Let's do something light.
once one of the largest shopping malls on the east coast of America.
Alright, so
Holy moly, bro. What the heck is even that? What do you guys want to watch? What the heck is PSA? Bro, these are like curse images, bro. Like, what? They're watching us? The Bible horror week. Oh my, I'm trying to go to sleep after this. Queso? What the heck? I'm getting paranoid. Holy cow. Holy mo... The deeper I scroll down, the more scarier the videos are. Like, what the heck is that? What's that? Bro.
And fast. Maybe you've dreamed of dying a slow, painful death since childhood, or maybe you're just bored and want attention. Well, I hate it. So, you need to get cancer and fast. Maybe you've dreamed of dying a slow, painful death since childhood, or maybe you're just bored and want attention. Well, I hate to break it to you, but those microplastics and carcinogens you've been guzzling just won't cut it. But don't worry. As a content creator, it's my responsibility to ensure my viewers are constantly exposed to cancer. So, today I'll be showing you how to give yourself cancer as fast as possible. Cancer happens when a cell loses its moral compass and reproduces uncontrollably like a Catholic bunny on Molly. But to get there, you'll need to mutate your cell's DNA. Now, normally that takes years of aging, but we don't have time for all of that. So let's expedite the process with a buffet of carcinogens. Smoking is a great way to look badass, but did you know it's also a leading cause of lung cancer? Smokers are 25 times more likely to develop lung cancer than non-smoking losers. So I suggest you start chain smoking menthols as soon as possible. They're better than your standard reds because they numb your throat, allowing a deeper inhale. Doctors even used to recommend menthols to relieve stress and treat asthma, but the sober tards over at the FDA had to come in with their clipboards and science. Luckily, they haven't ruined alcohol yet. A great way to shorten your life and boost your risk of cancer is regular alcohol consumption. When you drink, your body converts alcohol into acetaldehyde, which is basically paint thinner for your DNA but tastes slightly worse. Acetaldehyde is more toxic than alcohol, so our livers turn booze into something worse than what it started with. Great job, evolution. Slamming Four Locos doesn't just ruin your chance at employment, it can mess up your DNA, causing mutations that slow cell repair. But if you're constantly binge drinking, you're more susceptible to drunk driving, overdosing, and suicide, which would end the cancer speedrun on a technicality. I suggest going easy on alcohol if you're going for a pure cancer build and focus on other carcinogens to make up the difference. For example, processed meats are a great alternative. In 2015, the World Health Organization classified processed meats as a Group 1 carcinogen. That puts hot dogs on the same list as cigarettes and uranium, which are the 3 things a growing boy needs. Bacon, ham, and deli meats are coated with preservatives that turn into nitrosamines when cooked, and because that word has a bunch of syllables, it's considered a carcinogen. With that being said, make sure you are eating as much gas station food as possible while supplementing Soylent and vegetables with Red 40 Mountain Dew. Pairing a poor diet without exercise will drastically increase your risk of cancer, but you were probably already doing that. But if you want to make your situation way worse, doctors recommend playing ranked Counter-Strike and eating chicken nuggets all day. Your body will become a beautiful, fertile garden in which the only thing that grows is tumors. More fat cells means more estrogen, means more inflammatory chemicals that can develop into breast, pancreatic, and colon cancer. Non-processed meats can still be carcinogenic if you fry, smoke, or char them, since they'll contain polyacylic aromatic hydrocarbons and heterocyclic amines. That's over 19 syllables. Well, at least our drinking water's safe. The great people over at DuPont made a beautiful product called Teflon that can be found everywhere, even in your own blood. Coincidentally, Teflon is known to cause cancer and was thrown into every product, including water, possibly as a joke. Now, this kinda upset the entire world, so they did a rebrand to PFOA, which also caused cancer. And now they're on their 3rd rebrand, Gen X. New name, same cancer. There's hundreds of mega corporations rapidly diluting our food, water, and air with chemicals. I suggest moving to an area around one of these chemical manufacturers to ensure you're getting the most contaminated water as possible. Whoa. Better yet, work at one of these factories. That way you can inhale as many horrible fumes as you want. Blending water with plastic can make a fantastic microplastic cocktail. And if you can't afford a blender, don't worry. Our entire water supply is already irreversibly filled with microplastics and forever chemicals that have made their way into our bloodstream. While you might think our world has only recently become a fish tank loaded with carcinogens, it's been this way for over a century. The 1900s introduced amazing products like leaded gasoline, x-ray machines for fitting shoes, and Adam Sandler. Oh, and asbestos, which was practically seasoning back then. Hey, sweetheart, the steak's pretty dry and awful. Frankly, also, I hate you. Can you pass the asbestos? Oh, honey, you can get it yourself if it's next to the x-ray machine. Hi, Dad. X-rays pass through soft tissues but get absorbed by dense materials like your bones. But they can also knock electrons off of atoms in a process called ionization. This creates charged particles that can wreak havoc inside your cells. Even non-ionized waves can cause problems. For example, the sun blasts UV rays at our skin that excites electrons and breaks down chemical bonds. So throw away your sunscreen and head on down to your nearest nude beach. For any aspiring supervillains out there, you could simply destroy the electromagnetosphere that protects Earth from cosmic rays. This can only be done if you cool down the Earth's core, which generates the magnetosphere. You could do this by either pumping trillions of gallons of liquid nitrogen into the core or crashing a planet into the Earth. You could also just move to a planet without an electromagnetosphere like Venus or Mars, but that's a little less fun. I know a lot of you guys aren't big fans of the sun. It's too bright and it's kind of condescending. So tanning boots can be used instead here. They actually emit 15 times more UV radiation than the sun. Now, I typically don't care for microtransactions like this, but if you're really committed to cancer maxing, it's kind of worth the investment. Let's move on to some heavier stuff, specifically the heaviest elements in the periodic table. These guys are bad news and are radioactive because they have no stable isotopes. Think of them like 12-year-olds, high energy, unpredictable, and likely to explode if left unsupervised. Take plutonium, for example. It's one of the most deadly elements on Earth. Hanging out with plutonium for seconds is worse than chain smoking inside a tanning bed stuffed with asbestos. Its nucleus is too bloated with protons and neutrons to stay together, and like your ex-girlfriend, it doesn't want to exist, so it makes sure everyone around them suffers. But if you really want to max out on radiation, I gotta recommend gamma rays. They're way more harmful than any other ray, and you can access gamma rays from nuclear bombs or take a bite out of Chernobyl's elephant's foot. This doesn't even look like an elephant's foot! Chernobyl's elephant's foot is considered the most radioactive place on Earth. It's a mass of melted nuclear fuel formed during the meltdown. It originally emitted over 10,000 roentgens per hour, enough to kill someone within minutes. For context, that would probably kill an elephant within at least 5 to 10 minutes. To this day, it's still hot and glows in the dark a bit. While most elephants' feet weigh about 100 pounds, the one in Chernobyl weighs almost 4 million pounds. But to be exposed to the most gamma rays, you'll need to visit a black hole's accretion disk. We're running a little low on time, and all these tumors are making it extremely hard to talk. So long friend of the channel, Ellie Andrews, and his little buddy, Saint Aiden, wrote a rap to cover everything else.
Freestyle.
My chest hurts. Cancer and get around kids. I'ma give you the answer if your lifelong goal is to give yourself cancer. Breathe fine wood dust in your nose and throat. Put popcorn butter on your burnt ass toast. Use hair dye, talcum, formaldehyde makeup. Fire the stove, grill a well done steak up. Fall to the floor, quick lick the vinyl. If you're really on a mission and it isn't survival. If it's laundry day, do a laundry week. And each time hub bleach, snip dry as sheets. Light a scented candle for the sweet benzines. Put your head by D's, lick sauce and breathe. Sunny days, try to spend outside without sunscreen, but bug spray's fine. Do all of the above and it won't be observable till the doc calls back and it tells you it's terminal.
Classic gift card. Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good rap.
Hey, CPS. Yeah, I'd like to put in a tip for a disgusting freak that's watching my video right now. Oh, this is Domino's? No, don't hang up, yeah, I'll get a large pepperoni. So you want to give your spawn birth defects? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, I'll be showing you how to give your child birth defects. As it turns out, there's an insane number of ways to prenatally upgrade your offspring. So let's start with one with no controversy. Yeah, you're just gonna want to vaccinate your children and make sure you feed them aluminum every night. While there is no concrete cause of autism, it has been linked to a couple of trends, notably premature births, genetics, and the age of the parents. But even that is still disputed. Luckily, a medical researcher recently found a cure.
Yeah, my autism for the most part has been cured.
For brevity, I'm going to abstain from mentioning purely genetic birth defects because that won't make an interesting video. Instead, we'll be looking at ways to increase your odds through your actions. Speaking of actions, the first thing you'll need to do is get pregnant. Now, I understand that's probably really difficult for most of my viewers. Fortunately, I've come up with a surefire way to get laid. Share my videos. Guys, Raygasm content is a well-known aphrodisiac. And if you don't believe me, congratulations, now you're pregnant, or you got someone pregnant. Ugh. You're about to run a 40-week gauntlet, and there's no time to lose.
Oh, hang up.
When a pregnant woman eats or drinks, so does the baby. So what'll it be, sweetheart? I want a quadruple vodka water. All right, and for the little one? When pregnant women drink, alcohol slips into the fetus's body, and their pathetic, immature liver is incapable of producing enough enzymes required to break it down efficiently. So, alcohol remains in the system for longer. What happened last night? Oh shit, am I naked? Exposure to alcohol can make you really good at pool, but it also interferes with the brain's development. In fetuses, this is called fetal alcohol syndrome. It's associated with behavioral problems and physical deformities in the face and body. Man, we all know a guy who looks just like this. Tag a friend who has fetal alcohol syndrome down in the comments. I highly recommend finding 2 able-bodied people to spot you while doing keg stands. You don't want to fall over and crush the baby. That could seriously mess it up. Just like the liver, a fetus's immune system isn't battle-hardened, so it doesn't have the ability to effectively defend itself against infections. This makes it extremely vulnerable to pathogens transmitted by the mother, which means we'll need to find some more pathogens.
Wait a minute, this isn't a pathogen, it's an ad read.
Boot.dev is an online coding platform, acronym SQL, but I'm learning. We can exploit weak immune systems by consuming raw fish, beef, and probably raw chicken. They're known to transmit parasites responsible for toxoplasmosis, which can lead to fluid accumulation in the brain and intellectual disabilities. Rubella can give your kid cataracts, and then there's the Zika virus that can shrink your infant's skull. I highly recommend investing in the bug catcher skill tree early. It allows you to quickly contract STIs and STDs, which can really mess up your kid. For example, syphilis can cause babies to be born with deformed bones and jaundice. Babies with syphilis. Jesus Christ, that is horrible! I just found out HPV can rarely cause wart growths in the baby's throat. Pretty much every STI can be passed down to your children during delivery if you're not a C-section, but most won't cause structural damage, just internalized hatred. But don't worry, by the end of this video, your offspring will be so impaired that they won't be able to exact their revenge. Let's talk about smoking for a second. Big shock, it's bad for you, we've all heard it, and it can also make your child have breathing problems, a cleft palate, and be born premature. Doing recreational drugs does more of the same. Preterm births, impaired brain development, and behavioral problems. But there's been many cases over the years where doctor-approved prenatal drugs have caused adverse harm. In the 50s, pharmacists created an over-the-counter drug called thalidomide to reduce morning sickness for pregnant women. About 9 months later, thousands of babies were born looking like Pokemon. It became apparent in the 60s that thalidomide resulted in babies not developing limbs, so Big Pharma graciously pulled it from the shelves. Luckily, there's still a bunch of drugs on the market we can use, like Accutane. Okay, on a serious side note, do not Google Accutane babies unless you're prepared to see this. They basically look like their skin is turned inside out and crusty. Accutane increases your odds of birth defects by 30%. Symptoms include smaller absent ears, heart defects, cranial defects, and extreme skin reactions. I found a case where a woman was accidentally prescribed an androgen blocker that reduces testosterone production. While it doesn't always cause harm, it can result in the baby having ambiguous genitalia or a micro shrimp. I consulted an expert woman who informed me, and I quote, having your baby become a girl counts as a birth defect due to the fact that women suck. At this point in my research, I realize I've been ignoring something. Maybe I should consult people who have been pregnant, as they might be more qualified than I. Hey, Mom, are there any drugs that pregnant women shouldn't take? Oh, hi, my favorite child. I love you so much. You're so talented. There's a drug called tetracycline that can make your baby have gray teeth. Gray teeth? At least you can hide a micropenis. Birth defects aren't just medical, they're geopolitical. People always talk about how China is trying to rot the Western youth with attention-seeking apps, but the West has been doing it for years in Asia. The British flooded Chinese markets with opium, which caused pregnant women to have children with clubbed feet and heart issues. And then the United States dropped nukes on dense Japanese civilian centers, which caused cancer growth and anime. And then they topped it off in Vietnam with Agent Orange, which is also linked to clubbed feet, hip deformities, and infertility. In general, radiation and herbicide exposure can result in growth restriction, major structural malformations, intellectual disability, and cancer later in life. Between drugs, chemicals, and radiation, we've covered a lot. But I've saved the best for last. Inbreeding. Well, actually, it's not the best. It's very disgusting. I hate this video. If you want your baby to look like a cat from Eugenics mixed with my Crusader Kings 3 character, inbreed inbreeding's the way to go. Inbreeding drastically increases the odds that a child will inherit 2 copies of the same harmful gene. Most people carry some sort of recessive mutation that isn't expressed. Now, normally this isn't a problem because parents are genetically diverse, making it highly unlikely that both will carry the same harmful recessive mutation. However, when inbreeding happens, closely related parents are more likely to share the same recessive genes, increasing the chance that their offspring will express a genetic disorder. Think of genes like a deck of cards. If you're stacking the same deck twice, you'll increase the odds of drawing the Habsburg jaw and cystic fibrosis. Quick side note, I read this article from the BBC that said Charles II had a single testicle that was as black as coal. So if you want your kids to have a black testicle, you know what to do. I'm not drawing that, you freak. A study was done in Brazil analyzing inbreeding deficiencies. The paper concluded that first cousin parents had a 12.3% chance of passing on birth defects, 11% for second cousins, and 9.8% for third. So if we follow the math, the closer the common ancestor is, the worse it gets. And I will leave it on that. Hopefully you learned something. I sure did. I am never going to get pregnant. Good luck to all you birth maxers, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's next? Let's go here. Let's go here. How to get fat. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're doing this one.
New year, new me. When I found out 2 in every 5 adults in the United States are obese, I made it my New Year's resolution to improve that figure. But how do you make yourself obese as fast as possible? What is obesity? Well, obesity is when you have excessive body fat, typically diagnosed with a body mass index exceeding 30, meaning if the ratio between your weight and height squared is above 30, you're probably obese. However, it's important to note that BMI is a flawed system. For example, John Cena is 6'1" and weighs 251 pounds with a BMI of 33.1. But he's not fat, so why is his BMI so high? Well, because muscle weighs more than fat, BMI can be misleading, but most people aren't built like John Cena. So you probably can't use that as an excuse. On the most basic level, obesity happens when you consume more calories than you burn. Okay, duh, I'm sure you already knew that. So instead, I like to focus on small habits that can compound into a massive difference over time. After all, a journey of 1,000 pounds begins with a single bite. So let's go over a scenario on how you should behave to maximize weight gain. Picture this. John just crafted the perfect custom combo box on the Taco Bell app. But his Taco Bell points are about to expire. If he doesn't use them now, they'll die. John cashes out and adds a beefy 5-layer burrito to his cart. While waiting on his $30 DoorDash order to arrive, he queues up a YouTube video. The stage is set. Obviously, fast food provides vital structural support to the obesity food pyramid. It's calorically dense, highly processed, and can snowball into other weight-gaining habits. A single meal can easily exceed your recommended daily caloric intake, and oftentimes leaves you feeling empty like when the liquor store is closed. That's because satiation depends more on nutrient content than calories alone. Fast food and junk foods are typically low in fiber, protein, vitamins, and minerals, so they pass straight through you and fail to keep you full. This industry has a feeder fetish. They get consumers addicted to Crunchwrap Supremes. They chew them up and spit them out right back onto the street. It's disgusting. Okay, anyway, let's return to the battlefield. John is now halfway through his Taco Bell order and can't stop watching Oni Plays Funniest Moments compilation. He doesn't realize how quickly he's eating, and at this rate, he's gonna pop. If you're serious about larding up, you gotta watch something while you're eating. It distracts your body from picking up on signals that you've eaten enough, so you can eat more.
Good sir, here's your Caniac combo. I highly recommend pairing this fine dish with an Outdoor Boys video.
Luckily, John hasn't popped yet. He finished his meal and is going to top it off with some Baja Blast, which leads me to one of the most effective strategies in the current obesity meta. Drinking calories. Processed foods open a shortcut from your bloodstream straight into sodium agartha.
Agartha needs your help. You must eat this burger to reactivate Agartha's force field.
Stack that with fast food's addictive design, and your brain is wired to drink more liquids. To exploit this debuff, never sip water. That's a time waster. Grab some Fanta and fill up that cup one more time before you leave McDonald's. Guys, liquid calories are an absolute game changer. They're broken. They're super powerful because they're extremely easy to overconsume. Soda and juice have a lot of sugar with no fiber to balance them out, so they kind of sneak up on you. And that daily iced latte can add a couple hundred calories before you even realize it. The only thing that's going to inflate you faster than soda or DeviantArt is alcohol. I love alcohol. It's always been there for me. It causes cancer, destroys families, and makes you fat. Honey, I'm worried about your alcohol abuse. Alcohol abuse? I would never. I love alcohol. Any speedrunner worth their salt is familiar with the power of
What happened? I can't hear.
alcohol stops fat from burning. Your body is an ignorant, sober tard and sees alcohol as a harmful substance and prioritizes burning it before dipping into your fat stores. Since alcohol can't be saved for later, because I'd get to it. Since alcohol can't be saved for later, your liver drops everything to process it, meaning all the actual food you ate gets shoved straight into fat storage. 2. Alcohol is high in calories. Once it hits your system, alcohol becomes ethanol, about 7 calories per gram, which is almost double what carbs or protein can give you. A single shot of 80 proof vodka has about 100 calories, but most people chase demon juice with mixers. A rum and coke can be 200 calories, and a fruity mixed drink is even better. A standard pina colada can run you up 500 calories. So you should probably focus on sugary mixed drinks to mask the yucky taste and inflate your intake. 3. Alcohol makes you feel hungry. Booze toggle off your appetite regulation hormones, so your brain can get tricked into thinking you're starving, which leads me to 4. Alcohol makes you crave salty and greasy foods. It can cause blood sugar levels to drop, triggering cravings for high sugar, high fat foods, further helping weight gain. If you're serious about obesity, start going to happy hour, get hungover every day. Less motivation to exercise means more time to stack calories. Remember, the goal is to minimize calories burned and maximize calories gained. So under no circumstances should you be using stairs, walking to the bathroom, or hitting the gym. Grocery stores understand the elite competition behind obesity speedrunning. That's why they offered motorized thrones so you can glide past produce without wasting a single calorie. Don't enter a Walmart with the grocery list. Only make purchases based on impulse. Stack up on chips and dips, and when you get home, eat straight from the bag. You'll underestimate how many Cool Ranch Doritos you've inhaled, and so you'll just keep going at it until the bag's empty. Okay, I keep hearing this thing where nutritionists love talking about the plate method. They say it's healthy. Wrong. The plate method is actually when you finish your plate regardless if you're full or not. And if you can't finish your plate, try smoking a certain substance that demonetizes my channel and nullifies the hormone that regulates appetite stimulation. I saved this portion of the video for last since it's the most controversial in not only the speedrunning community, but also the Olympics. Medication. Not gonna lie, I can't recommend the strategy since it's sort of a cheat code, but certain medications can cause weight gain or change body fat distribution, often leading to metabolic complications. So please talk to your local shaman before taking pharmaceuticals. Just don't tell him I sent you. Diabetes medication can increase appetite while decreasing anabolic effects, basically turning your temple into a hungrier, less efficient calorie-burning machine. Antidepressants can create a bit of a cycle. While they can improve emotional well-being, which is great, but sometimes they can make people feel more relaxed about eating and can slow down how the body burns calories. So someone might start feeling better emotionally, notice some weight change, and then feel frustrated, which makes them reach for more comfort and rely on more medication. It's the same story with antipsychotics, steroids, and hormonal medication.
Whoa.
For the 6% of ladies out there, hi. Birth control is known to increase cravings, water retention, and change fat distribution, and mess with metabolisms. So you could consider hopping on that purely with the intention to gain weight. At the end of the day, just remember to lard up and gout out, and you should be well on your way to speedrunning obesity. I had a lot of fun collaborating on the cancer rap, so I've called in a few more favors, and Ellie Andrews and Sate Aiden have made another rap dedicated to gaining weight. So give it a little listen.
Couple tips if you're trying to get big. Gotta pack on pounds like a Brit. Go ham till your fits don't fit. Know you made it when your pants go. Get a double Big Mac, get it supersized. Large Coke on the side plus extra fries. Down it with the milkshake, baked cakes and pies. Go and eat it like a demon, don't exercise it. Word to the wide, buy a comfy chair. Take the elevator up, down, never the stairs. Stay smoking, stay drinking like you just don't care. Celebrate 420 till you see it on the scale. Stuff up your face, get them buttons popping. Gotta finish each plate like your grandma's watching while you scroll YouTube. Cause it's better than walking, laying down for some rest in your XL coffin. Ooh.
Ooh, that's stinky. What to do? Every USA states explain.
Driving Trump voting, and yet somehow.
Alright. Whoa, what is this?
So this is a story about getting fat. It happens to a lot of us, I know. For me, it happened in my early 20s. And
Yikes.
This is the reaction of the cast of The Boys when Anthony Starr filmed the last scene of Homelander. And that whole sequence in the White House was much more complex to film than you might imagine. That's because the actor had to wear a kind of cranial prosthesis.
No explode. My bad. No phone, no music, nothing.
The louder it is, the more expensive it looks, the better it performs. Look at the top. Okay, so hate to interrupt myself here, but let's say you're like Queso and don't love your day job. Maybe you're not all that interested in streaming, but you've got a business idea and just don't know where to actually start. Well, let me tell you about WAP. WAP is the world's largest internet market. It's where you go to create, connect, and transact all in one place. Coaching, paid communities, clothing brands, software, whatever it is, WAP handles the entire back end for you. Pay-ins, payouts, all of it. The scale is wild. Over 18 million people are on the platform, and businesses on WAP are pulling in more than $3 billion a year. You've got thousands of solopreneurs running right next to major brands like Kalshi, 11 Labs, and Polymarket. And here's the kicker that gets me. WAP Treasury actually pays you 6% on every dollar your business earns on the platform. Your money's working while you're working. So if you're stuck in a job you hate, go to WAP.com to start your business today.
Because in like 24 hours, y'all took me from nothing to crazy.
You see, Queso hit level 1 in the...
What if I told you I built a tiny home?
This is a...
Ladies, excuse.
These are
We need to talk about Gen Z because older generations.
These are 3 of SpongeBob's deepest episodes. Watch till the end if you want to see just how far a kid's show can go. These are 3 of SpongeBob's deepest episodes. Watch till the end if you want to see just how far a kid's show can go. The first episode starts with SpongeBob, who had woken up that morning as he usually did, but this was no usual morning. Something strange had happened the night before, though we did not know what yet. But whatever happened somehow did not affect SpongeBob. It did, however, affect everyone else. At first, SpongeBob didn't notice that something was wrong. In fact, he went through his daily routine as usual, having even worked a full day at the Krusty Krab. But as he got home that evening, he noticed that Gary hadn't touched his food. and soon after, he discovered that Gary wasn't home. Then he checked up on Squidward and Patrick. No one was home. He ran around panicking all over Bikini Bottom in hopes of finding any sign of life, but nothing. The town was empty and he was all alone. But why wasn't SpongeBob gone? Rather than searching for answers, SpongeBob's first instinct was to distract himself by living out everyone's life for them, basically to pretend he wasn't alone. A mistake which would take him down a dark road. The next day he did just that, but after a while, reality started to hit him. Pretending wasn't enough to distract him, for he knew that something bad had happened. He didn't know what it was or if his friends were hurt, but once again, instead of facing reality, SpongeBob ignored it and stole a boat and took it for a joyride instead, which he eventually crashed into his house. When he woke up the following day, the boat was now sleeping on his bed, which was weird, because that's not where it crashed the night before. I don't believe that this actually happened. I believe this was all a figment of his imagination, which as we'll see soon was only the start of it. Now, having no job to do and nobody to see, SpongeBob spent the day becoming friends with this boat. Again, by no means was the boat alive, but this was the closest SpongeBob was gonna get. The boat and SpongeBob became quite close. SpongeBob had even began hearing voices coming from him. These delusions only got worse from here. When he got home that evening, SpongeBob talked about how the boat was the only thing keeping him sane. But the boat, or in this case, part of his subconscious, said something completely unrelated. Something about a Patrick puppet built from Krabby Patty meat, which sounds really crazy. So it was no surprise SpongeBob just brushed it off. But the boat wasn't talking nonsense. SpongeBob had secretly built this puppet, which he hid in his closet. SpongeBob was so lonely, a fact which he didn't want to admit, that he resorted to this just for some sort of connection. But the puppet said something even weirder. It warned him that the boat wasn't what it seemed, and that it was not his friend. What made this even crazier was that Puppet Patrick seemed to be right. The boat was acting a bit weird now. This paranoid SpongeBob, leaving him with no choice but to hide in his own home for days, until eventually he ran into the boat again. Immediately he ran out screaming, but wherever he went, the boat somehow found its way there. After running for a while, he found an axe, which he was ready to use to destroy the boat, which he still believed to be alive. But before he could, a bus pulled into Bikini Bottom filled with every single person who had gone missing. Where'd they gone? They had all left to take a break from SpongeBob. They called it National No SpongeBob Day. SpongeBob was naturally shocked, but he didn't even get angry. He was actually happy that they made a day dedicated to him, ignoring not only what they put him through, but what they were actually doing during No SpongeBob Day. The episode ended with the town leaving again, this time for National No Patrick Day, leaving Patrick behind to start the whole cycle over. I put this episode on the list because it did a good job at showing how flawed SpongeBob is as a character. He is so desperate for connection that the very loss of it drove him insane. But this isn't just relevant to SpongeBob. Humans are all social creatures, and having that suddenly stripped away from you could very well lead to a complete loss of character. The next episode on the list is Squidville. Squidville starts with SpongeBob and Patrick, who were outside playing with their new reef blowers. As it usually did, their playtime found its way to Squidward, or in this case, to his house, which was accidentally damaged, and eventually fully destroyed after Squidward yelled at them to fix it. This snapped something inside Squidward. He didn't yell at them. Instead, he accepted defeat, but this was the last time he tolerated it, because for once, he was going to do something about it, which more or less involved him getting as far away from SpongeBob and Patrick as he could. As he made up his mind, his TV fell from the sky and played an ad for a secluded, gated community called Tentacle Acres, a place which Squidward believed would free him from all that made his life miserable. A belief which, as we'll find out, was not true at all. Having nowhere else to go, he went over that same day. After answering a few questions, the gates of Tentacle Acres welcomed him inside. Now you're probably thinking, why is this episode called Squidville when the place is called Tentacle Acres? Well, this place was entirely populated by squids, which not only looked exactly like Squidward, but did the same things he did. Finally, he had found his real home. He had found his people. He immediately fell in love with Tentacle Acres. After his first night there, he woke up having already forgotten his old life. He went shopping, he rode his bike, he danced, he played his clarinet, all with the rest of the community. And best of all, not a sponge or starfish in sight. He could live like this for eternity. But if you're expecting that, you'd be wrong. He enjoyed his first day there, and nothing ever changed from it. You could say he lived that same day over and over and over again. As I said, nothing at all changed, except for one thing. As the days went on, his smile slowly faded. But by God, why? What else could he ask for? He had everything he'd ever dreamed of having. Squidward asked himself this question. He clearly started to hate his new life at Tentacle Acres. and he soon found out why. He knew this place was the very definition of Squidward's paradise, but it was also too much paradise. There was no change, there was nothing to look forward to anymore. Once the opportunity presented itself, Squidward crept around the reef blower and played with it. As squids do, they mocked him. His own people mocked him. SpongeBob and Patrick never did that, but he didn't let mockery stop him. In fact, he doubled down. He went all around Tentacle Acres with the reef blower. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Patrick showed up at the front gate, hoping to bring Squidward home. Behind the gate, Squidward continued having fun, which annoyed all the other squids in the process, eventually turning them all against him. After they cornered him, they gave him a letter of complaint, which once again made something in Squidward snap. He finally understood that these weren't his people at all. Sure, they looked like him, they basically were him, but they didn't like him at all. These were his people. These people actually liked him. And so Squidward, who had now gone a bit too far, used his reef blower to fly out of that prison as he laughed manically. A prison which, at the start, he so much enjoyed. Tentacle Acres was built for Squidward. More importantly, this place was supposed to prove that SpongeBob and Patrick were what was wrong with his life. But it didn't. His new life in Squidville showed us that this was the furthest thing from the truth. In fact, it showed that he himself and everyone like him was the problem. What's more is that playing his clarinet or riding his bike was no longer something he could look forward to, because he could have it whenever he wanted. He took away the process of earning pleasure, and therefore, he lost it. Now let's move on to what I consider to be the deepest SpongeBob episode. It was another beautiful day in Bikini Bottom. Squidward took his opportunity to relax. He pulled out a lawn chair and a piece of gum, whose wrapper he threw on SpongeBob's lawn. Something which, for some reason, really stunned SpongeBob. SpongeBob immediately picked it up and tried returning it. SpongeBob wasn't shocked because Squidward had littered. He was shocked that he'd throw away something this valuable. There was nothing special about the wrapper, by the way. What made it so important was that SpongeBob didn't see a simple wrapper. He saw a treasure trove of entertainment. Squidward let him have it just to get rid of him, but SpongeBob kept asking him if he wanted it back. Eventually, Squidward told him to not only keep the paper, but to never give it back to him under any circumstance, to further get him off his back, words which he'd later eat. You see, like most of us, Squidward saw the paper for what it was on the outside, a piece of paper. Since he couldn't relax outside, Squidward decided to play his clarinet instead. But knowing Squidward, something was bound to happen, and that something was a very familiar noise from outside. Squidward angrily looked to see what all the commotion was. SpongeBob was playing, doing all sorts of things with the paper, and after a while, Squidward found himself spying on SpongeBob, mocking him while doing so. But SpongeBob was having way too much fun to even notice. He was having so much fun, in fact, that Squidward even felt a little envious, a feeling which he took back instantly. After all, why would he want to play with this silly piece of paper? He went back inside and tried to enjoy himself again, forgetting all about the paper. But this time, when he heard SpongeBob laugh again, he didn't look annoyed. He looked sad. This sadness kept reoccurring every time he heard SpongeBob laugh. Finally, he decided he was going to have more fun than SpongeBob, to prove to him that the paper was not fun. But in reality, he was really only trying to prove it to himself. And he really did try, but SpongeBob just seemed happier, probably because he was. After a couple of failed attempts, Squidward broke. He instantly demanded his paper back. But there was a small problem. SpongeBob had promised Squidward he wouldn't give it back, and SpongeBob wouldn't break a promise. So Squidward thought for a second and decided he was going to get the paper back by bartering, hoping to eventually convince SpongeBob. Squidward started offering item after item, eventually also giving up his house, but SpongeBob couldn't accept. Until finally, Squidward had even given him his shirt, trading everything he owned for what he once called garbage. SpongeBob accepted. He didn't even want the other stuff. He only wanted Squidward's shirt. But Squidward didn't care. He let him keep everything because he finally had the paper. Only there was now a problem. When Squidward returned to what was left of his home, he tried playing, but something was different from when SpongeBob played with it. It wasn't fun for him. And as Squidward looked over at everything he gave up for the paper, he realized what he had just done. He gave up everything for what he once again believed was a piece of garbage. What this episode is getting at is quite literally, one man's trash is another man's treasure. But there's an added element here. You see, the paper was neither trash nor treasure. The trash, metaphorically speaking, is Squidward's mentality, and the treasure was SpongeBob's. SpongeBob didn't see a simple paper. SpongeBob is so simple that even a paper was hours of entertainment for him. Looking at Squidward, he couldn't enjoy himself doing all the activities he considered fun, which was why it was no surprise when he later didn't have fun with the paper either. What this episode is really about is how a simple shift in perspective is all it takes to go from this to this. And it's really up to us to make that shift. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more. If you want a second part, let me know your personal picks. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
Yo, I'm gonna wrap it up. Alright. Let's end of the stream. I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow. No, I'll be too busy tomorrow. I mean the weekends or Friday. One of those days. Try to stream more often. Let's see, this Friday, yeah. Alright. Maybe the weekends, who knows. Stay safe, sleep safe. Y'all, good night.